up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we have some Detroit Lions news. The Lions have signed a player to a futures contract, so let's get it started.
I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know, DoseOfDion, he put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here, and we have some Lions news for the first time in a little while, so I'm super excited to bring this news to you guys. The last time we had Lions news, I think it was when the Lions signed a tight end to a futures contract, but now they have signed a defensive lineman, so I'm excited just to bring it to you guys. Just any Lions news gets me excited because it's been a minute, so I'm good. It's good to be back. So before we get started on who the guy is that the Lions signed, I first want to touch on what a futures contract is, just in case anybody is unclear on what it is. It's a pretty simple deal. Basically, a future contract is signed before the new league starts, and it means that that player can't sign anywhere else. So he signs the future deal, he can't sign anywhere else, and when the new league starts, of course, he's signed to that team, which I think is March 17th. I think that's when the new league starts, and that's when he'll be counted towards the 90-man roster. Usually, these deals are very cheap. A lot of times, they're the veteran or their league minimum. We don't know the contract details of this signing, but it's likely the minimum. So yes, the Lions have signed a player to a futures contract, which potentially could add some competition this offseason. I don't know if he'll make the roster or not, but he also could add some depth if he does make the roster. Now, the Lions have a couple of upcoming players that could be cut on the defensive line to clear some cap space this offseason. One of those being Nick Williams, which I really anticipate happening. He saves you over $4 million. He's over 30 years old, not coming off of his best season. To me, unfortunately, I think he will be one of those guys that are released by the Lions to save them over $4 million. They really need to save any money anywhere they can. So I think Nick Williams will be one of those players. The interesting one here, however, is Danny Shelton, because Danny Shelton played well enough last season to be brought back. He's only got $4 million left on his contract. He's only 26, maybe going on 27 years old. He might be 27 years old now. He's still a very young defensive lineman, and he's got a pretty cheap contract. He played well enough in last year's scheme to be brought back. The issue is, will he fit the scheme for this upcoming season? See, I don't know what the defense is going to look like for the Lions, but if they don't believe Danny Shelton can fit the scheme, they could cut him to save, again, about $4 million. You cut both Nick and you cut both Danny to save upwards of $8 million, which is nice. That obviously you can save any money that you possibly can. I think Danny Shelton, just because of how young he is and, him playing well enough, I think he could have a trade market potentially to some teams that could use his services as a nose tackle, because that's what he is. However, he only has 1 year left on his deal, which means that I don't think anybody's going to be willing to give away any kind of draft pick for rental. With that in mind, it's either going to be they bring him back and they think he can, fit somehow, or it's that they cut him and they try to save about $4 million. So that could happen. And if that is the case, if both these guys are cut, or even just one, the Lions could use some depth for potentially cheap. So the Lions went out today and signed Joel Heath to a futures contract, the former Michigan State Spartan. I know that's going to make some Michigan State fans happy. Whoa, hey, we got Joel. Hey, look, I don't care where he's from. As long as he balls out and he's a Lion, he's a Lion. That's all that matters. I don't care what college they go to. With Michigan State, his first couple of years, he goes in, he's a defensive end. Then he switches to defensive tackle in 2014. And that's where he puts up his best numbers. So they bump him inside, he puts up his best numbers. And as a senior, he puts up similar numbers again. And he's named an all Big Ten honorable mention, which is pretty solid. He heads into the draft with a really good combine, actually, pretty good. His highest scoring range was agility, where he's given a 78 out of 100. He was given like a 73 out of 100 in general, but he actually had some really good numbers at his combine. His 40-yard dash wasn't exciting. I mean, it was a 5.02 40-yard dash. That's not super exciting, but he did have 26 bench press reps. He had a 33-inch vertical at about 300 pounds. Think about that. 33-inch vertical, and his shuttle cone drills were very good as well. So he came out with some pretty good agility. The combine went pretty well for him, I would say, but heading into the draft, no one picked him up. At Michigan State, it was a very rotational defensive line, so there wasn't much opportunity to put up huge numbers. So he goes undrafted out of Michigan State, and the Houston Texans sign him. Now, apparently there was 4 other offers he was given. He decided with Houston. I wonder if one of those offers came from the Rams, and I also wonder if this is someone that Brad Holmes maybe had their eye on back when he was coming out of the draft, because if you remember, he was the director of college scouting with the Rams during this time when he signed to the Houston Texans. So maybe it's someone that Brad Holmes had his eye on. Maybe they even gave him a contract offer. I don't know. But maybe it's someone, they had in mind, and now that he's available again, he remembers him from that time, so he decided to sign him. That may not be the case. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here to just maybe an idea that I had. So he signs with the Houston Texans. He joins Houston as a 6'6", 293-pound defensive lineman. I mean, he's got a lot of size, and that's what makes people excited, man. This guy's got a lot of size to his game, and he's pretty versatile, because in college we saw him play both at the outside and the inside of a defensive line. So Houston brings him in. He actually has a pretty nice role early in his career. He plays as a a 3-4 defensive end, has a pretty strong role. He was a strong side defensive end. He had a pretty strong role with the Houston Texans. He played on the early downs, really didn't play on third downs or passing downs. He was just kind of out there on the early downs. He did miss some games, however. So his first 2 years with Houston, bit of okay numbers, got involved a little bit, but really after that, it was just kind of a mess trying to figure out a home. In and out with Houston, in and out with Denver, opted out of the 2020 season. So now he's going to get an opportunity with the Detroit Lions potentially to try to prove himself. He is only 27 years old. He has some experience. He's showing versatility on the defensive line, and you really do like his size because when he was with Denver, even though he really didn't play, when he was with Denver, they listed him as a nose tackle as he was up to over 300 pounds. In a 3-4, he could play defensive end. I think he fit in a 4-3, probably as an interior defensive lineman. You could maybe even push him at nose tackle if you had to. I mean, I don't think that's the first place I want to put him, but I think you could push nose tackle. Now, if that is the case, that could mean that Danny Shelton stays because he's a nose tackle, which would mean you'd stay in a 3-4. He could stay. He definitely could, and this could be some depth behind him if Nick Williams is cut, and then there you go. You may have a backup nose tackle. This is what the PFF said yesterday, projecting the Lions go to a 3-3-5. 3-3-5, same situation, right? You have a nose tackle. So he moved to nose tackle with Denver, put on a little bit of weight, and played that spot. Well, he would have played that spot, but he really didn't play with Denver. So if we go to a 3 defensive lineman set, Danny Shelton could still be here. And I'd be okay with that. So I went back to watch him with the Houston Texans just to see how he played, how they used him. One of the interesting things I noticed when I was reading about, when I was researching a little bit about Joel here is one time the Houstons actually waived Dan Skipper to sign Joel Heath. I thought that was interesting. Dan Skipper is currently on the Lions as a backup tackle. I don't know. Could we cut Dan Skipper and then bring in Joel Heath? I'm just saying. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of a weird, occurrence that I saw. But anyways, so I went back to watch him with the Houston Texans and I saved a couple of clips here. Here's what I noticed. Like I said, he's not out there on third downs. They take him off. He's rotational defense lineman as well. He's not out there every drive. He was every other drive. But he was only out there on early downs. So he was, really helpful. I think they wanted to use him with the run defense. But when it came to passing downs, third down, when they believed the team was passing, they put on their speed rushers. And again, they were in a 3-4. Keep that in mind. So he played strong side defensive end, a 3-4. But when it came to third downs, they put on their pass rushers and he came off the field. But what impact did I see? Well, as a pass rusher, I really didn't see much of pass rush moves to his game whatsoever. He kind of just bull rushed every single time, it seemed like. He really didn't have much technique to get back to the quarterback. So I don't think he's going to give you that. It's probably why they didn't play him on third downs. Now, he could look different from that. I mean, that was years ago. But at that time, he really didn't have much impact in terms of a pass rusher. However, on early downs, what I did notice is this guy has a lot of power. I mean, while he doesn't have much technique and he probably needs to add a lot to his game to get more of a role, he does have a lot of power. And I think that was what's exciting was coming out of the draft. That is a 3-4 defensive end, a guy that's nearly 300 pounds. He's got a lot of power on there with a good agility score coming off the combine. So you like the kind of masher between athleticism and size. I mean, there's a lot of things that he doesn't have to his game, and there's a lot of technique and things that he needs to add, but you like the athleticism and size. And you'll see a couple of clips here. This guy is literally just running through offensive linemen. I mean, he pushes him off the backfield. He's got very heavy hands, and he could put the offensive lineman going backwards right away. He does a good job of kind of walling off an offensive lineman with one arm and using his other arm to try to fill that gap. As a pass rusher, there's really nothing there whatsoever. I just don't see him much of an effective pass rusher. And a lot of his sacks you'll see at Michigan State actually came very late in the play where, a quarterback would try to scramble or they'd be in the pocket too long. All right, so our man Joel here is number 93. He's lined up over the right guard in this situation. And you're just going to see here his biggest strength. It's that power. It's the upper body. He's got the right tackle trying to help, but you can see he's just working that right guard all the way back to the quarterback, helping collapse the pocket. So this time Joel's on the left side. He's working against the right tackle this time. Now you're going to see that initial first strike, just the power on his first strike to kind of punch the tackle back right there. Boom. Now, not much of a pass rush move after that, but he gets that first push. This time on the right side of your screen, working against the left tackle and the tight end. Watch him just throw the left tackle down and then just get himself in the way, fill the gap, take away the run game. I think the tight end may have helped him, ran into his own teammate, but he still kind of just threw him down using that strength. I'm again on the right side, the strong side with the tight end. Now you're going to see him kind of just work the offensive lineman where he wants him to go. Just kind of working him into that gap. The offensive lineman's unable to push him out of the way, and he fills his gap really well. Play is all upper body strength. The left side, watch him work against the right tackle. Watch him just push his shoulders down and then dive on the pile. Now, here's where you can see an issue at times because he kind of stands up and loses leverage again on the left side against the right tackle, and they got the two tight ends over there. Kind of stands up too tall, loses some leverage, and he gets too high, but he is able to kind of just fall with his tackle on this pile. I definitely saved this clip too late, but you'll see the right tackle way back. He pushed him back right off the first punch a couple of yards. but you can see a lot of power, a lot of upper body power, and they do like his agility. So it's really the matching between the both there. Now, as a pass rusher, you don't see a lot of, pass rush moves to start it, and as a counter, not a lot there. He can really get locked onto an offensive lineman, and he can get kind of stuck, but it's all about that power to try to collapse the pocket. Bull rushes is just specialty because that's really all he does. Goal line situations, it can also be very beneficial. At PFF grades with the Denver Broncos this 2019, last time we saw him, his highest grade came against the run at a 61.2 and a 52.2 in pass rush. Now, as a rookie, he did have a pretty high pass rush grade, but I think that's because he had the numbers there. I don't see him making a lot of quick sacks. I think it's something that, if the quarterback stands in the pocket too long, he may make a play, pushing an offensive lineman back into the quarterback, and that can free up a lot of defensive linemen. You'll see occasions where, he could free up a J.J. Watt because he would take two guys. And if you could take two guys and push the pocket at all, and you have one-on-ones elsewhere, that helps up a lot of other players. So for the Detroit Lions with Trey Flowers, depending on what happens with Romeo, these guys, if you have a guy on the inside that can push, the pile, even get some sort of collapse when there's two offensive linemen on him, that opens up a lot of other players to do what they do best, and that's win one-on-ones. That's why you pay a Trey Flowers $90 million to win your one-on-ones. If you get a one-on-one, you better win that. All right, more times than not. Romeo Quora, if you're going to get paid again, you better win your one-on-ones. So if this guy can take a 2-on-1 and give you any kind of push, because if he does that, it forces that offensive lineman to stay to second offensive lineman to stay and help, because if he's not pushing at all, he can leave and go help, one of the tackles work against their defensive end. Forces him to stay there to try to help and kind of push him off, and that comes because he can line up across anywhere on the defensive line. So not much of a threat on later downs. His pass rush grade has graded out times pretty well, but he's not really on the field on passing downs. They take him off the field. He's out there for early downs, and if they do pass, he just relies on pushing that pocket back. So I think there's a lot to add to his game. He's still pretty young, so with good coaching, maybe you can add a couple of pass rush techniques to his game. He just doesn't seem to have that right now, but it's just kind of the pure size and athleticism that you like. So let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.